welcome to Comics and Us, episode 30. I'm Chris.
And I'm TJ.
And I'm Lumpy.
This is the review show where we review comics chronologically, kind of. Today we're reviewing, where do we go from there, TJ?
That's right. I'll take it over from here.
I wanted you to wreck it way more than that.
I know, because I practiced over and over again with my head before we did it.
Well, you only missed one word, just like Lumpy did on his try.
Oh, okay, good. As you can tell, this is my pick for our hiatus episodes. That's why I did the intro. So go ahead, TJ. You can take over now.
Okay, thank you. We are doing Spawn, issue number 1 and 2. So before we get into it, Uncle Chris, why did you pick Spawn 1 and 2?
Spawn was one of the first comic books that I ever read that I ventured out from, DC, Marvel. If it wasn't on a cartoon, I didn't know the comic. So I picked up Spawn. For some reason, Spawn got real popular in the 90s, and I just heard about it, and I picked it up and read the first one, and I've been reading it ever since. Like, Spawn was like my venture out. And it's a lot darker and a lot more, religious-based that I wasn't used to, too.
So are you caught up to where they are? Or how far are you in?
I am not. I believe, because we started doing this, I stopped reading again. But what I was doing was I got the trade paperbacks. So I read one, and then I went and bought, when I got back into it, 5 years ago, I bought one, I read it, and then I bought the second one, and I read them both. So I've reread this first one probably 10 times. As I bought the new trade paperbacks. And then I started reading them online, which I just found out not too long ago. And I'm up to, I think, issue 85 of the original run.
Okay. And Lump, you have any experience with Spawn?
0. Since you said you wanted to do this, I am now at comic number 9. I actually couldn't put it down. Really, really good. We were only supposed to read 2, but I kept going.
I only had a little bit of experience with Spawn myself too, and I actually read the first 5, but I didn't get as far as you, Lump. But I didn't read it as religiously as you did, Uncle Chris. So,
what was your opinion on it? It sounds like Lumpy liked it. What was your opinion on it, TJ?
We'll get into that.
Okay.
but I can't jump in. We can't jump into Spawn without talking about Image Comics, because we cover Batman and DC Comics, and everyone knows DC Comics. Everyone also knows Marvel Comics, but Image was a comic book company that was started in the early 90s by Todd McFarlane, who up until this point worked on Spider-Man.
Right, he was the artist for Spider-Man, I knew that.
Right. Jim Lee, who worked on X-Men. Rob Liefeld, who worked on X-Force. Mark Silvestri, who worked on Wolverine. And Eric Larson, that worked on The Amazing Spider-Man. Wow. And Jim Valentino, who worked on The Guardians of the Galaxy, and Willis Portacio, who worked on the Uncanny X-Men. So, these guys didn't like the way that DC and Marvel ran things, because they would hire them, and then they create stuff, but DC and Marvel own the properties and the rights to everything.
Oh.
So, what they created Image Comics, so they would own the rights to their creations, essentially. So
right, so they don't have to pay royalties to anybody if they want to do what they want to do. Exactly. Essentially, when McFarlane wanted to do some stuff, he couldn't if it didn't get passed by the higher ups, basically.
Exactly.
So if he created Spawn while he worked for Marvel, that would be their entity, and he wouldn't have anything to do. They could do whatever they want. They tell him what to do with it, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's why they separated. But they didn't create one comic company behind it. They kind of did an umbrella thing, and each of them kind of did their own production company. Todd McFarlane Productions, which went on to do Spawn, is what we're covering today. Jim Lee went on to do Wildstorm Productions, which is Stormwatch. And if either you know who Midnighter is or Apollo?
Do not.
Nope.
No. Well, they're the most popular ones. They're still around in DC today, but that's the more popular heroes from there. Highbrow Entertainment, which was owned by Eric Larson, he did Savage Dragon. You know who Savage Dragon is?
Yes. There was actually a cartoon in the 90s of Savage Dragon.
Now we have the Dragon.
Nope.
All right. Then there is Shadowline, owned by Jim Valentino, who did his most popular was Shadowhawk, but I've never heard of that one before.
No, I don't know that one either.
And Top Cow Productions was owned by Mark Silvestri. They did Witchblade. Do you know who Witchblade is?
I believe I do know Witchblade.
Yeah, Witchblade. They also did the first line of Tomb Raider comics.
Oh, wow.
And they also did the comic series The Darkness, if any of you know who they are.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, I actually read all the Witchblade and Tomb Raider comics, so I'm pretty familiar with Top Cow.
Oh.
And then Extreme Studios, which was owned by Rob Liefeld, he was who created Youngblood. You know who Youngblood is?
Yes.
All right, and I'm taking it from Lumpy Silent. He has no idea what we're talking about. Is that correct, Lumpy?
Not a clue.
All right. But yeah, so that's the history behind Image. I figured since this is the first Image comic we went behind and interested in the background, we should at least put it out there and, pretend that I know what I'm talking about. So we're going into Spawn number 1. It was released in, May 1992. It is 24 pages long, and it is called Questions Part 1.
Yes.
The cover is, I was reading my notes.
Oh.
The cover is just Spawn, lunging forward with, green smoke on it. It's not a bad cover, if not a little bland.
Right, his covers are usually pretty good. They're always pretty crazy.
Yeah,
this is one of the less crazy covers.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it is the debut one, and it's just Spawn just takes up the entire cover. So
yeah, I think he was trying to display his artwork for this just on Spawn itself.
Yeah. So yeah, nothing really to say about that, and we open up with the title of the thing, Image Comics Presents. And this one's dedicated to Jack Kirby. I don't know if you know who Jack Kirby is.
Yes, I know Jack Kirby.
Yeah?
Yes.
Do you know who he created?
Off the top of my head, no. Don't.
He's a Marvel guy, right? He created... I mean, it's not Spider-Man. It's...
I mean, he created a lot of stuff, if I remember right. He was Stan Lee's number 1 guy. Didn't he just die?
Yeah, not too long ago, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Well, who was he responsible for creating?
Well, he co-created a lot of guys.
That's what I thought. I don't know anything that he created on his own. Did they have somebody that he's credited for?
Yeah, he co-created... Hold on. Before, he was with Marvel before they were called Marvel Comics. They were called Timely Comics at the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, go ahead.
He's... Captain America's his, right?
Yeah, he co-created Captain America.
With who? With Stan Lee?
No, it was before Stan Lee's time.
Oh, right.
It was Stan Lee's uncle or something who was the owner, but I don't even know that he even did anything except for bankroll it.
Yeah, I don't know who the guy is he co-created. I didn't write it down. I just wanted to focus on Jack Kirby since it's dedicated to him.
Right, since it's dedicated to him.
But he also co-created the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, Thor, and Iron Man. And then in the 60s, or it's either the 60s or 70s, he didn't like how he's being treated by Marvel, so then he went over to DC.
Oh, wow.
And he's responsible for the New Gods. Do you know who the New Gods are?
No.
Yeah, that was, they're the Greek gods, right?
No, it's Darkseid and Orion and all those guys.
Right. Okay.
So he was responsible for creating all those guys over in DC. Yeah, but that's pretty much...
Did he create Angela, or is that McFarlane?
No, McFarlane created Angela and sold it. Oh, I'm not sure if it was McFarlane, but it was in a Spawn comic that it was created, and then they sold it over to Marvel. He's actually Thor's sister now.
I wasn't going to bring it up because it's not. She doesn't show up in these two comics.
Right. Well, she doesn't show up for quite some time, but...
McFarlane drew her, but Neil Gaiman actually wrote the story behind her. The guy who created the Sandman universe, John Constantine.
Really?
Sandman, yeah.
Okay, I knew she was in these books, but I didn't know who actually came up with the story.
Yeah, so, and they co-created it and they agreed to it, but in the early 2000s, McFarlane stopped paying Neil Gaiman for it, saying he's the sole owner of everything. So, Gaiman sued, McFarlane countersued, but Gaiman won, and eventually Gaiman got complete rights to Angela, and that's when McFarlane sold all the rights to him to DC Comics.
Marvel.
Or Marvel Comics. No, wait. Yeah, whoever he's with now, yeah.
Yeah, I think she's with Thor, actually.
Oh?
Angela?
Yeah.
Yes, she is. She's with a lot of stuff, and then she has her.
Yeah, but didn't she get added in as his like sister or something?
Sister, because she's a Valkyrie. There's a lot of weird story behind all that.
But I mean, when you get to her in these comics, it's a good story. It's a really good story.
Well,
I'm close to there.
Yeah.
Neil Gaiman's a really good writer, and he created the whole Sandman universe, and that's been really popular.
Yeah. But I mean, I liked her story. She's a bounty hunter, and she's going to kill Spawn, so it's kind of cool.
All right, speaking of Spawn, I guess we should get into it, huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
We open up in space, apparently. I don't know.
Apparently. Or he's looking at the Earth. I'm not really sure exactly
I'm
what they're
not positive.
going for there.
Maybe he's floating through space or something. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't really get that part. And then it goes dark.
Yeah, it goes dark. I don't know. He's monologuing to himself how he doesn't want to die, and then
He does want to die. He wants to die again.
Oh, he wants to die again.
Yeah.
I misread that. But pretty much, go from space to pictures of buildings, and then then lightning strikes on top of a church and revealing Spawn.
And he just says why.
And he says why. Then we get into one of my problems with this entire comic.
Okay. And I understand. Go ahead.
So we get a page of 3 different news broadcasts happening here. One CNN explaining about the death of Al Simmons, who is Spawn. He was a soldier, so forth and so forth. And they're talking about how his wife is there, and it's just a very standard news story, essentially.
Yeah.
Then we get down to the conspiracy theorists.
Right, I feel like it's just like the news. Every channel you change is a different story. It's a different version of the same story.
That's kind of what I think he was trying to.
Yeah. All you gotta do is flip the channel and you'll hear the same story, but with a different viewpoint on it.
And I'll be honest, I read this first one and then I skipped over the next couple.
But I do understand he's trying to lay down the story with his newscasters, different versions of it. It's a lot of words and a lot of reading.
Yes. Like I said, I read this one, and then as I got on, I was like, I don't really care about these. I'm not going to bother.
So go ahead, TJ. I know you were coming up with more problems. Go.
So the conspiracy theorist is saying how he was a government agent, how they cover up a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But he mentions Youngblood.
Right.
Informed sources say that his presence is possible at the same time as Youngblood agents, with no coincidence. So Youngblood, this Image Comics at the time had a whole, shared universe, and Youngblood was Rob Liefeld's team, and they were a bunch of famous superheroes. They were rich, and they were in the spotlight, and they went around doing things. That was how it separated them. They tried to separate them from at DC and Marvel at the time, because they're celebrities, essentially. But it was a terrible comic, and no one should read it. Youngblood sucks.
But, I didn't really like Youngblood. It does seem like, because they showed up at the same time, they're trying to say, well, this guy must be Youngblood, too, if he's a hero. That's right to me. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't sure, so now that you say that, I didn't even know what that was. And they mentioned that Youngblood multiple times in this, and I didn't know what they were talking about.
I actually think some of the villains are like crossovers too, aren't they? As you go along, I believe. I didn't read all Youngblood. I know what it was, but
maybe. But I didn't dive too deep into Youngblood. I know it's a terrible comic, and I know Rob Liefeld, even though he was popular at one time, went down the Frank Miller route, and he's not got worse as he went along.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really? Yeah. See, I don't even know.
I mean, not like the person as far as like his writing and style, but his drawing and style goes. Rob Liefeld's responsible for all the overly muscle bound people and the contorting women with revealing things and all the pouches and he likes he's what you think of a 90s comic drawing back in the early 90s, that extreme style.
Yeah.
So that's weird. I didn't know that.
But yeah, so the conspiracy theory, and then we go down to, I guess, another newscast thing.
Yeah.
But it's like rumors or something.
It feels like it's like, I don't know, like E! Entertainment Television when they would do like Talk Soup. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, but they actually, and I think it's the next one, they actually have like E! or something on there. This one just has a 7.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
And it's like how Simmons met his wife at a Republican convention, and now that and how this one guy is hitting on his wife at the funeral or something and trying to grieve. It's
It
weird.
seems like he's the gossip news.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my problem isn't with the newscast, being there. It's
Right.
just, it feels like it's trying to say something, these comics. Like it's trying to focus. It feels like there's commentary going on that's really not needed.
Oh, yeah.
And that was why I kind of skipped it. I didn't really. It doesn't. You don't lose anything by not reading it. So I noticed that it's kind of
Right, and
somewhat pointless.
It feels like they're not only trying to say something with the commentary, but also feels like they're world building in a world that I just don't care about either.
Right, well, you don't
that
plan
might
on
be
hanging
it, too.
around in it,
Right. But it's just weird. I don't know.
I didn't like the newscasters. I honestly didn't like, and I do know as you go along, they start to fade out a little bit too. They don't, it's not constant.
Right. And I also got a lot of Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns with this newscaster thing.
Oh yeah, you feel like he was trying to like push a little Dark Knight Returns on there?
I mean, you've read it, right?
Yeah.
That has the same exact thing with the commentary and the different news channels.
Yeah. What year was that?
I want to say 80s.
Yeah,
But I could be wrong.
I mean, maybe he's highly influenced by it. Maybe McFarlane was influenced by Dark Knight Returns is great. I can't wait till we get to that.
Dark Knight Returns is not in continuity.
Oh, it's not.
No, we would have to do that as a special thing.
Okay, I didn't know that wasn't. I mean, I just figured it was at the end.
No, because you have so many different ultimate futures in DC.
Right.
Like you could have that future, or you could have the future where Terry McGinnis becomes Batman.
I like that one too.
So, and there's so many.
I know none of these.
You don't know Terry McGinnis?
Nope. I don't know any of them.
You don't know
That's Batman
Beyond? Batman Beyond?
Nope.
It was a
Batman's
cartoon.
old. Right, Batman's old, and he's teaching this new kid Terry McGinnis to be Batman.
That's
it's
and
good.
like I've heard of that, but I never followed Batman. Like short of watching the movies, like with what's his name,
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton. Short of that, I know nothing else about Batman,
Dark Knight
which is
Returns.
really weird. I just never followed.
Dark Knight Returns came out in 1986, by the way.
Okay, so yeah, he could have been influenced by Dark Knight Returns with that too.
And maybe not, but it just felt like it,
Yeah.
And it feels bogged down, the whole comic, by the commentary. Not just by the news story, but we'll get into it later, by some of the other things they're trying to tell, too.
Right.
And that's what I was having problems with.
It's a large story, and I feel like he tried to put a lot of it into this first comic to draw people in.
Yeah, but nothing really happens in this comic.
You're right.
But see, if you know the story already, though, you needed this first comic.
Yeah, but here's my point, though. If I'm a new reader like I am, and I'm going in and I'm reading this and I'm feeling underwhelmed, how am I going to get me to come back?
Listen, Stanley, that was his theory. He was like, every comic is someone's first comic, so.
But no, literally, this is my first time reading Spawn. I've never,
Right.
I think my only history was with the movie, and I barely even seen that.
I think if you read the first comic and you weren't curious, you put it down and you didn't go any further. You're right.
So, I mean, that's my problem with it, really.
And I'll be honest, I was hooked on the first one. Even though nothing really happens.
Nothing happens, but he leaves too many questions unanswered, and you got to find out what the heck's going on.
Well, yeah, and I did keep reading, but I wasn't like Lumpy where I had to read the next issue. I was like,
Right.
I'll read this somewhere tomorrow or something. Maybe I'll read an issue a day or something.
So the first Spawn book, the first Spawn comic is actually free right on Image Comics website.
Yeah, you can read the first one.
So I can tell you this, I read the first one for free before I bought anything because I was like, well, I'm not going to buy nothing if I don't like this.
Right, if I hate it.
Like, if I hate I read the first one and immediately purchased the collected works because I was like hooked.
I think you're selling a little short, TJ, because I really like the first one. I understand it doesn't give you a lot of stuff, but I feel like it gives you enough to make you want to know what's going on next.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with you because I did continue on somewhat.
Right.
It's just, I feel like it's not, it didn't hook me like it hooked you two. And
yeah.
And I'm not going to just sit here and agree with you two, you know?
Right, no,
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect you to. We wouldn't expect you to, believe me.
Not ever. Not ever. But
I wouldn't expect you to agree with me out loud, even if you did agree with me in your head.
even if you agreed, correct. We agree on that. But
We've argued
I
over
don't know
stuff
what
that
it
I know.
was.
Wait, what? You both talked at the same time there.
I was saying, me and you have argued over stuff that I know you were okay with. You just wanted to argue. I know that.
That is his nature. So it's true. I can't even tell you, though, what exactly hooked me on it, but I was very intrigued, I guess, by the character. And I kind of think that him not giving as much information in this
That's
made
how I
me
feel.
want that next one. Like,
He has
I think
mentioned that.
that's what it was.
Todd McFarlane has mentioned that he didn't even think the story in the first couple comics was that great. He thought the artwork was what was drawing people in.
Well, because I felt like I was reading a book. You know what I mean? It was like I felt like I was reading a book, not a comic book. Like this was one part of a bigger story, and it has a lot of dialogue and text that needs to be read.
Which is weird because I'm usually turned off by too much text, and I feel like it wasn't too much text for me.
It's weird because at points there's too much text, and then there's 5 pages of like one sentence.
Right.
Yes.
That's why I think he has so much text jumbled together, because he goes through with a lot of just artwork too.
Right, and I'm not. The art's fantastic. There's nothing wrong with the art.
Oh yeah, no, Todd McFarlane's good, really good.
He is really good. His art is
My
very good.
my problem is the story and the commentary so far.
Right. I honestly, I don't like those newscasts. It feels like, oh god, I got to read a whole nother one of these pages.
So
Right.
it's funny what you said, though. He did an interview, and I don't know who he did the interview with, but it's listed in my collected work. And
Right.
one of the questions in the interview was, "Do you know the end of the story?" And he says, "Yes, I do, but I hope I never have to tell it. I have conceived the ending of Spawn, but the only way I would tell is if nobody cared about the character anymore. Hopefully done right, I won't ever have to tell that story." So he did write this saying, like, if it
He planned
didn't
on
take
having
off, I'll
Yeah.
just end it. But
Okay.
people liked it, so he kept on going. I mean, that was an interview with him from, like, mid-90s or something, so...
He was just on a friend of mine's radio show. His name's Chris, Dr. Chris from Radio Horror Network. I'm just giving him a plug now. He did an interview just last week as we're recording this. I don't know when it's going to come out, but with Todd McFarlane. So go check that out on Radio Horror Network.
All right,
That's pretty neat.
I guess we should move on. I've been rambling about this.
Yeah, you're right. You got your complaints go in. Go ahead. You got your
You're
bickering
25
in.
minutes into the first page, okay?
Yeah.
Just so you know.
So we got all the information out.
There was a lot of research went into this stupid comic. All right.
I see.
He asked
For somebody
me
who
to-
hated it, he did a lot
for
of
anybody.
research.
Here's a little peek behind the curtain here. He messaged me today and said, "Are we recording tonight? Because if we are, I have a lot of notes I have to write down."
Anyway, so we go into his backstory a bit. He starts, monologuing again about how he remembers there was someone to love, someone to hate, and he was something, and it shows him being like a soldier. And then I guess he got blown up.
I mean, that's what it looks like here.
They don't tell you.
They don't tell you.
Because they have him running forward, and then there's a picture of a skull and then fire.
They eventually tell you, and I do think maybe he was in a building that got blown up.
I don't know. Anyway, he died, and then he's having trouble remembering his wife, and he wanted to see his wife one last time when he died. And then they show a picture of the devil.
Yeah.
And
Wait, where's the picture of the devil?
right underneath the next page.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah. So essentially what happens is he's dying and he wants to see his wife. So he makes a deal with the devil to see her one last time.
Right.
That's the gist of all this panels.
Yes. Now, it does seem like this is what the devil does. He finds out what you want, and he makes a deal.
Yeah.
Even in this comic.
and then he twists it in some way.
Sure. He's not even going to let you have all your memories when you wake up, which is what's going on right now.
So, yeah, essentially. So Spawn's sitting on top of the church trying to remember who his wife is.
Right. Or what this church has to do with it.
Right. And there's a lot of art going on here that's just, like, symbolic, not really having anything to do with anything.
Right.
So, like, we go down past all the, the wife pictures and the explosion pictures, and then there's just an hourglass break-in.
Yeah.
And what is the counter? It's been driving me nuts.
Okay. I knew. This was, if you were going to read these, the counter would drive you nuts probably 10 issues before you find out what's going on. His powers are not infinite. They're finite. His powers, he only has a certain amount of power. Every time he uses a little bit of power, that countdown starts to go down.
Okay. I get you. I understand now. I did read that issue where the devil explained he doesn't have an infinite amount of power. I just didn't realize it was connected to the counter.
Well, see, that comes in to play because he realizes that he's, every time he uses power, he loses some, so he stops trying to use power.
Yeah, because once he uses all his power, he goes back to hell, I guess.
Yes. Then he goes back to hell to lead the devil's army. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, he doesn't really need to use his power. He is a zombie, essentially, at this point.
Yes, but for some reason, he feels he needs to defend. Well, if he gets killed or if he gets chopped into pieces, he's got to use his power to pull him back. But he feels the need to stop people from committing crimes. Like, he's still a good guy at heart.
Well, there's twofold to that. Yes, he's a good guy at heart trying to stop some of that. He does try to save some innocent people. Yeah. And at the same time, he realizes that the bad people, if he kills them and while they're still bad, he's making a bigger army for the devil.
That is what I thought was awesome. He's also using his powers to try to find out what his memories are. And that leads him into fights and, killing people. And every time he kills somebody that's evil, he builds on the devil's army.
It sounds like he should just use the Batman rule and everything will be fine.
Yes. Well, actually...
Or don't use the Batman rule and go get himself a gun.
If he would just go around...
No, just not kill the bad guys, just maim them and keep them alive.
Ah, yeah, that's pretty smart.
Well, actually, he should go around and kill a bunch of good people.
Yeah, but then he would be evil.
Well, he's already evil. He's already going to hell. So if he kills a bunch of good people, he builds God's army.
I don't think that's how it works.
No, I don't think that's how it works.
If you read some of the comic, that's kind of what I got out of it. Was that, the reason the devil wants him to kill the bad people? Because the devil essentially wants him, he's an assassin for the devil right now, to kill bad people, to build his bad army. So
but
why wouldn't it work the other way?
Because the people have to be completely evil. And it's a lot easier to find evil people than to find people that are, truly good, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It's very true.
So, I don't even know. We got down to the counter. Okay, I forgot where we were.
We're on that big splash page coming up.
Which one? The one that just shows Spawn talking again?
Yeah. Well, that's what they all are in this first issue.
Well, no, because after the Hourglass page, we get 2 pages of Spawn monologuing.
Yeah.
And then we get introduced to the detectives.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, the second page of Spawn monologuing is a splash page. You read it online, so you probably don't see it, but it's 2 pages together.
No, I see it.
Oh, okay. And then we get to the 2 cops, which are Sam and Twitch. I like these guys a lot. They were part of the reason why I got into Spawn also. I could read them too. I could read there is a Sam and Twitch comic, and I definitely could read a Sam and Twitch comic.
All right, so what are they talking about here then, Uncle Chris?
They are talking about someone who got killed. He was thrown through a window from the 44th floor, but he wasn't killed by the fall. And then they realized that his heart was removed.
Yes,
and stuffed into his mouth, sir.
So
when I first read this, I thought, "Oh my God, Spawn's killing people and stuffing their hearts in their mouth."
It is the way they make it seem.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was too. Honestly.
Yeah.
So one of the detectives is this heavyset guy who is no nonsense, I guess.
Yeah, he's kind of
And he's a hard ass, is what he is. He's no nonsense, but he's if it was I don't know, he's a tough guy too, where he doesn't care. It's no nonsense on any kind of fun part, but he doesn't mind to break the rules a little bit to get what he needs for
justice, essentially.
For justice, yes.
Right. Now, as you get into these characters, Twitch is funny. He's got a dry personality, and he jokes, but it's very dry jokes. But
and he doesn't always catch a joke.
Right. When you start to find out his backstory, he gets even funnier. I'll tell you that.
Oh, really?
That's cool.
Well, Twitch is like this scrawny guy with a yellow mustache. He either looks like
Spoilers.
Commissioner. He looks like a why?
I'll tell you one thing that makes him funnier. His wife is like a 10. She's a model.
Oh,
She's like 6 foot tall and built, perfectly. And he's got 6 kids with her. So that's part of his backstory.
well, he looks like a scrawnier Commissioner Gordon.
He does kind of. He's got a little kind of, I don't know, like, it
A
almost
little
looks like a Hitler
younger.
mustache. I hate to say, but
Yeah,
I don't see the mustache though.
he's got a little yellow mustache.
It's in the page where the cigarette's lit in the first page that they're introduced.
Okay, I see it. It's like it's almost skin color
Yeah.
in mine.
Now, one tip off that this is a 90s comic. Oh my god, there's a lot of smoking cigarettes in this comic book,
Yes.
isn't there?
Yes, a
Jeez.
lot. Everybody smokes,
He
Yeah.
is a detective.
Yeah, detective smoke.
apparently.
So then after we're introduced to the detectives investigating, we get introduced to the first action that we get in this entire book, where a bunch of guys are trying to gang rape this girl.
Yeah. See, this is part of the reason. I hate to say it, but I like the violence of his bad guys. His bad guys are scumbags, and you don't feel bad when he does something to these bad guys.
That's one thing about the Spawn comic. So what I've read so far is his bad guys aren't super villains.
No.
There are some, but
Right.
he's literally just fighting street scum. Like
Garbage.
he's fighting against who the cops are normally arresting. Like that's who he's
Right.
beating up right now.
I don't feel terrible if he kills all these guys that are trying to gang rape this woman in an alley. Sorry.
Not at all. I'm
You know?
okay with it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Is it an alley? I thought it looks like they're in a warehouse.
It's like
It might
behind
be because he
it might be
throws a
inside
guy
the
out a
warehouse.
window.
I don't know. But they're like ripping off her clothes. They got knives, and then Spawn shows up and throws one guy out a window. And then he starts kicking their ass.
And right when he shows up to these guys, somebody right away says he looks like one of them young bloods.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
They mention it right away.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's this comic or the next comic, but in one of the scenes, someone says it's weird seeing a young blood that's not rich.
Oh.
Yeah,
I didn't even notice that, I don't think.
And the thing is, again, I didn't get that because I didn't. You just told me that the Youngblood was a comic. I had no idea what that meant when I read it, and I just passed by.
So, I mean, there's another reference coming up to that
Right.
I'll bring up, but we'll get to that. But anyway, he saves the girl after, I guess, what's the boom? I don't know what he did here.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He says you're way out of your league, fat boy, and then boom, and then they all run away, or they all fly away.
Or they're all disintegrated.
Oh, I see it. It's this. He does he makes a little dot out of like his power and sends it over to them. You see it? It kind of floats over,
Right, and
and then it explodes. Yeah, it explodes on them.
Does it kill them?
I'm gonna guess it does.
I'm guessing. I don't really know. They don't really say. You do see them running, but then
Are
you
they
never
running?
see them again.
Or are they flying away?
Or are they being
Yeah,
tossed?
you're right. I don't know.
Are they being tossed by the explosion?
Right. I'm gonna say dead.
I mean, it's a
I'm
good.
going to say dead.
It's a Spawn comic. It's sure likely.
Yeah.
So he saves the girl, and then there's a skull out of nowhere, and Spawn faints.
I think it's supposed to be like his memory of when he got killed. I think that's what that skull is. It was his death again.
Well, they sure don't like to explain things in this comic, so
So as
He says
I read a
no,
little
not
further,
again.
he says
I have
no.
a question.
Hold on, he
You
says
might
no.
know.
He
Go
says
ahead.
no. There's a bunch of bubbles around him.
Yeah.
I don't know how that indicates that, but okay. What's your question, Lump?
So my question is going forward. It almost seems like when he uses his power, it's almost an incentive from the devil. When he uses his power, he gets a flashback where he gets to see a little bit of his memory again.
But
Is that-
he gets his memory back in like 2 issues.
Yeah. No, it's not that. He just is randomly giving him bits of his memory.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because after he uses his power, though, like on significant points, that's when he almost instantly has these flashbacks.
It seems like he has these flashbacks at the worst times, is what it seems
Yes,
like to me.
it
Like the
definitely-
devil's watching him saying, oh, he looks like he's having a good time. Let's give him one of these and knock him on his ass again. Yeah.
and he does. He does.
Yeah.
And then we get another page of him of seeing his wife sleeping, but it's just the same picture over and over again for like 6 panels. It's
Well,
like
it
they
says-
copy and paste it.
It says her face keeps haunting you. It's her face. It's always her face.
Yeah, but
Who is she?
it feels like he got lazy and didn't want to draw a different
Just
face.
started throwing them up there. That's a possibility, too.
That's what it felt like to me.
The problem I got is, when they finally show his wife, that's not what she looks like.
Well, he don't really remember her. He's just seen a face. He doesn't really know who she is.
Yeah, it's true, because that's not what his wife looks like.
Yeah, it's not exactly what his wife looks like.
We're not. I don't know if it's in the second issue because I'm having trouble differentiating how far I read ahead and what we're covering.
Yeah, me too.
But they draw the wife's daughter weird. Is it just me?
I don't. It's definitely not in these first two. I'll tell you that right now.
Right, because when they introduce her, her teeth are like sharp and weird looking.
Huh, I don't remember.
It's funny, I didn't catch
It's been a while
that.
since I've seen her. She's not in these first 5 that I have in this hard copy, so.
Are you sure? Because I only read 5.
Okay, maybe.
No, I think it's the third issue when they show her, but I don't see her teeth at all.
I don't remember. It was the one with. I think it was the one with Kincaid in it.
Okay, that's later. That's like episode.
That's 5.
like the 5th one.
Yeah, maybe it was that one. I don't know.
Speaking of, he's a scumbag too, by the way.
Yes,
he's a bigger scumbag than his gang rape guy.
Yes, by far.
Yeah,
Anyway, we're jumping ahead here because.
Oh, I see the picture you're talking about with the weird teeth, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does. I mean, she looks like a kid. Maybe her teeth are falling out. Who knows?
I think that's what it is. I think they were trying to make her look like a young kid. You know what I mean? I don't think they were doing anything with the teeth.
It's just she seemed to be drawn weird to me for some reason.
I see it. I see what you're saying now that you point it out, but I think they were just trying to, like, adolescent teeth, you know?
Anyway, we're at, what's his name? Alan Spawn. What's his real
Al.
name?
His name's Al Simmons.
Al Simmons. We're at his funeral, and it's showing his wife mourning, and she's crying, and there's an American flag, and then she's a monster all of a sudden.
Yeah, then she turns into a monster. She scares him, and that's how, it gives him a hard, he gives him a hard time. She gives him a heart attack. That's what it does.
And then he wakes up in the arms of the woman he saved.
So, right away they're showing that he has, like, a side where he's not so tough, I guess, huh?
Yeah, he has an emotional side.
Yeah. He's having a nervous breakdown here almost.
And
He
then,
is.
yeah. And then we go back into the news reports.
Yeah, see, I've blasted through these news reports. You're right. They're not, they're there to give you a little backstory and but they're not great.
I never even read this one. Still didn't even read it. I went right past it. Never read that one.
Well, the CNN one is talking about the murder of Carlo Giamatti. He was a gangster who got killed.
Right.
And it's just reporting on that. The conspiracy guy is talking about how maybe they should all be killed. They're just bad guys being killed. It doesn't matter if it's a good guy doing it or a bad guy doing it. It helps the citizens either way.
Till they come back as an army.
Yeah.
and then Gossip Guy. Now, see, is that the same guy, only a different channel? No, it's a different guy, isn't it?
It's a different guy, and it says E! Entertainment, which is an actual television station.
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
And then he's talking about the new guy's cape, I guess? Or Youngblood's capes, or... It's stupid.
He's saying, like, capes are out of fashion. Why has this guy got capes and spikes?
And apparently he's a fetish for Zorro, is what he's telling me. I don't know, it's stupid. It's not worth reading. They they just did it to mention Youngblood again.
Yeah. And that mob people are getting killed. 4th gangland homicide.
And,
I feel like the CNN one gives you a little bit of information, and then the conspiracy guy talks about Youngblood, and then the other guy just is, I don't know. Oh, no, the last guy talked about Youngblood, huh?
Yeah, the second guy's the conspiracy guy saying how it doesn't matter if the bad guys are getting killed, and if it's a good guy or a bad guy, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not happy with the newscasters, but I don't really like the news anyway, so.
It's fair. And we go from the news to an alley where Spawn's monologuing again.
Spawn monologues a lot, okay? Just so you know.
Yeah, I know. I noticed.
Because, like, who's he got to talk to? Nobody. So how is he going to explain the story if he does a monologue constantly?
So I actually kind of like the way he monologues, and it is part of the comic. I like that you're more. They're showing what's going on
You're in his head. Yeah,
that's basically
they
what
do that as Batman goes on too, and they do that with Spider-Man constantly too. Like they always do a lot of but he does it a lot.
Yeah, but here's the thing: it's him monologuing. There's usually a narrator telling you what's going on.
And I like that it's him actually saying out loud what's going through his brain right now.
But couldn't they do it in less words and less pages?
I don't know. See, I don't have that great.
No.
I really don't.
You got to make 24 pages. He's got to get to. It's not telling a couple stories. He's got to get through these pages.
I'm just saying. After the news page, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages of Spawn and his dialogue and his monologue and his feelings that are happening.
Really? Because I only have 4 pages after the news. 1, 2, 3, 4 pages.
And then he takes off his hood and his glove, and he's looking at his skin, and he's monologuing out loud now.
Yeah, he's got to explain that he looks like a freak, and he's burned up, and his face, he doesn't know what he is.
Yeah,
I think there's more words coming from the detectives than there are coming from Spawn.
But the detectives are pushing the story along.
I think Spawn is just explaining what's going on with him right now.
But he's saying the same thing over and over again. I have a wife. She's my wife. Like, literally, it goes... It says, so beautiful, but who is she? God, no. She's my wife. I have a wife. And it's the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, but if you don't know what's going on, that's how you figure it out.
And I think that was kind of my thing, was his whole thing right now is, it's the only thing he's thinking of. Like, I think they're trying to drive that point home that, it might be repetition to you, but that's what's going on in his head this whole time.
Well, they certainly definitely nailed it in.
They have to get his point across that that's why he did that, or else why would he make a deal with the devil unless he was that, in love with his wife and his old life.
In any case, he looks like a zombie.
Yes.
He has, no skin.
He looks terrible.
Yeah. And... We go back to the detectives, and I don't know what they're talking about, honestly. They are some government hero going whack. They're talking about Spawn, I guess?
Yeah, I think they're trying to figure out what's going on with Spawn.
And now that I know what the counter means, it makes more sense.
It's not. It's not Spawn. It's whoever's killing these. About
the guy who's
know it's not Spawn
out.
Yet.
Yeah, well,
right,
this actually makes it feel like it was Spawn again. Right.
Right, that's why I mentioned it.
Yeah.
And then we got the counter again.
But again, you didn't know that counter when you read the comic book the first time, so you're like, well, I gotta just see what the hell that counter is.
I still had no idea. Even I'm 9 comics in and didn't know what the counter was.
Right.
Yeah, I read that part that you were talking about, and I'm like, I didn't correlate it with the counter. They say, explicitly say it somewhere. How are we supposed to know that? Based on the hourglass?
I'm sure.
And now that you say it, I get it, but I did not know that.
I'm sure I didn't figure that out on my own. If you guys didn't figure it out, they must say it somewhere along the line.
I don't know. Anyway, we go on to the last page, which just has Spawn looking over at the skyline monologuing again. Or no, that's still the detectives talking.
It's still the detectives talking, yeah.
And then we go to space.
Somewhere in time. It's trying to show you it's just somewhere in time.
In space. And then and then the devil is mocking Simmons, and he's promising the troubles that are to come. And then the next issue, we get the Violator. Dun, dun, dun.
I like the Violator. He makes me laugh. Now, see, the Penguin. Yeah, he does kind of remind me of the Penguin. Oh, it does say next issue, the Violator. So, TJ, not impressed with that first issue, huh?
No, not at all.
Yeah, it doesn't see you even in your tone of voice when you're going through it. You're like, and then it did this, and oh my god, he's doing this again.
He's back to that Alice in Wonderland Batman.
Yeah, he's back to Alice in Wonderland Batman. I hope maybe the second one got you a little better.
We'll see.
It doesn't seem like it.
Doesn't sound like it. Now, the Violator, when we get to it, when I first saw him, I thought he was great, because it's crazy. He's this little, we'll get into it, but this little fat guy.
So, Spawn number 2 was released in June 1992, right? Yeah, it is 25 pages long.
We didn't even talk about the last one, but it's $1.95.
Mine says July 1992.
Really?
Number 2?
It does. Number
2? Mine says
July.
June.
No, mine says June, number 2.
Mine says July. I don't know why, but it says July. JUL 1992.
I don't have a price tag on mine.
Me neither.
No. My hard copy says $1. Well, it's a small cover, and it says $1.95 and $2.35 in Canada.
Nope, I don't have that at all.
Huh. And Todd Tom McFarlane's from Canada, right?
Oh, I don't know.
I think he's Canadian. He
I
shouldn't
don't
be
know
charging
either.
his people an extra $1.
Mine says I'm apparently reading a digital edition.
Right. That's why he didn't like it.
So-
You should have read the regular edition. The digital edition wasn't as good.
Uh-huh.
So your first comic said May?
Yes.
Yeah, mine definitely says May, and then now this second one says July.
I think you read the first and then the third.
Nope. I'm on the page right now.
And the cover
says
is
2, July.
and then the cover is Spawn over a graveyard.
Yeah, and
Yep.
with the bats, it kind of looks like a Batman cover.
A little bit, yeah, it does.
Yeah, if it didn't have the cross in the background and the graveyard, it would look a lot like...
You know what's funny? You can misinterpret it that Spawn is Batman standing on Spawn's grave.
Yeah, I guess you could on this one.
Yeah, he's got his capes up like ears.
Yeah. So
But yeah,
yeah, Tom
he's
McFarlane
in a-
is from Canada, just by the way. Go ahead.
he's Spawn's just at sunset standing on top of his own grave. It's really nothing else going on. It's pretty, but
Yeah, all his artwork is perfect, and I think that's a lot of what drew people in. I mean, it's very 90s now, but it looks great. Very colorful, yeah.
so this one's called Questions Part 2, and this one's dedicated to Steve Ditko. Anyone want to take a shot who he created?
Oh man, and I know the name.
If you want to stall, I'll Google it.
I
know the
have-
name, too.
I have it in front of me. I don't need
I know
to
you
Google
do.
it.
I know you do.
Spider-Man and Doctor Strange.
You just looked that up.
Yep.
Really? Wait, so Stan Lee co-creator, I guess?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing about Stan Lee. He takes credit for things that he probably shouldn't.
Well, that seemed to have been going on a lot in the comic book industry, just so you know.
Listen, I love Stan Lee, but you're right. See, he kind of, the story behind him a little bit is that he kind of took over the publishing from like his uncle or something, and basically put his name on all these comics because they were bankrolling these people's work, basically. I mean, he did help in the writings and stuff like as they published because he was technically like the editor.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so Steve Ditko created Spider-Man Doctor. He also created Hawk and Dove, if you know who they are.
I do not.
I do not.
I'm not going to get into it if you don't know.
No, I don't.
Go check out the Hawk and Dove if you want to know.
Well, no, I mean, they're most popular. They're in the Titans DC TV show.
Oh, okay.
So if you're interested, they're there, and they got their own series and stuff. And there's different versions of it. So that's a lot to get into.
He also studied under the Batman artist Jerry Robinson at Cartoon School.
Yep, Steve Ditko.
That's interesting.
Yeah. There was a lot of history that I left out because I would be here for 4 hours.
Yeah, we can't cover it all. It's
Yeah.
insane.
So we're introduced to the Violator on the front page. He's talking to a cat.
He sure is.
He's
He's having
really
a full-on conversation with the cat. I mean, the cat's
And-
answering him. The cat says meow.
I mean, he's talking about how he's gonna have to rip his innards out, make fillets out of his lungs,
Yeah, he
Make a
likes to go into
milkshake.
detail.
makes soft-boiled his eyeballs because he's the Violator.
And the cat says meow, and he says impressive. I know.
I know. Come
That's
on.
what-
Come
that's what
on. That first page is awesome, TJ.
It is. It is awesome.
That's a lot of words for one meow, though. That's for that saying that, you know.
I mean, it's just to show you the cat's paying attention.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So who
it's-
wants to describe what the Violator looks like?
The Violator looks like Danny DeVito as a clown, but older
He
and balder
does.
And fatter.
and fatter, and just he definitely does not look like he can do any of the things he's saying.
Oh, no.
He cannot do any of those things.
Now, what I noticed about the Violator, the same with is the face. The shape of the makeup on his face almost reminds me a lot of the Spawn face.
Yes. I don't know what the point of it is. Like I don't have it, but and maybe they go into it later. But yeah, it seems like they all get that weird makeup.
That
Points
weird
above their eyes.
points. Yeah, it seems like everybody that comes from hell gets that. I don't think they ever tell you why,
Yeah.
but it does seem like that.
Maybe it's a brand and not makeup.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. But Spawn's is a mask.
Spawn doesn't have that when he takes his mask off. He barely has
But
a face
right.
at all.
But Spawn also says that the costume feels like better than his skin, so...
Oh yeah. Well, as you go along, spoilers again. The costume is a living entity.
Oh.
Yeah, the costume is alive.
I got you.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
But so yeah, the Violator's having this conversation with this cat in an alley, and it goes on
Yeah,
and on
Well,
and on.
I told you the cat's interested. So if the cat's going to listen, the Violator, as you get to know the Violator, he goes on and on and on and on. All he wants to talk about is what he could do to people, and it's hard to believe he can do anything.
He's a nutcase. He's literally just insane.
Now the Violator, as you'll find out, I feel like I'm spoiling because we're not going that far ahead, but I already know the stories. The Violator's actually sent there to watch Spawn and make sure he's doing the right thing by the devil. Yeah.
But he's not doing that at all.
Well, he didn't even get to him yet. Well, the Violator's got his own agenda is the problem. He wants to be, the general of the army, not the Spawn.
Right.
Yeah.
The Violator wants to be Spawn, basically.
Yeah, the Violator's very jealous of Spawn.
But his job is to just watch Spawn.
Now, does anybody remember the Violator from the movie? The Spawn movie?
I never saw the movie.
You know who plays the Violator in the Spawn movie?
Who?
John Leguizamo.
Does he? Oh,
Really?
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
Luigi from the Mario and Luigi movie, from the Mario Brothers movie. Yeah. He's not terrible. That movie's not great, but it was nice to see Spawn in a movie, but the movie's not.
It's funny? That movie almost follows these comics beat for beat.
Yeah. And if, I don't know.
That's why it's not that good.
They don't give you enough information. That's why. Now, you know what is good? If you watch the HBO cartoon series is good.
I do know of it. I just never saw it.
The problem with the HBO cartoon series is I don't know. I have a problem with it. It's very slow. Not story-wise. Like, the animation's kind of slow. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
glitchy.
Kind of glitchy. And it's supposed to be dark, and I understand, but it's not. It looks great. It's Todd McFarlane's drawings, but it's not animated the way I would like for it to be animated. But it does get through the story. It ends, I think it got canceled before they knew it was going to get canceled, so it ends on like, oh man, are you kidding me?
And that's it. It's over.
Yeah.
Alright, so we go from the Violator talking to himself to the Spawn monologuing to himself.
Yeah, which TJ apparently hates. Guess who he's talking about, TJ?
His wife.
Yeah, guess what he's got to do?
Remember his wife?
He's got to find her. He's going to find her. He's still trying to figure this crap out.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 pages of just 2 people talking to themselves.
Yeah.
And after Spawn's done monologuing to himself, he sees the Violator standing on a roof waving to him.
Yeah. And he's like, "What? Who's that guy over there?"
And then we go to the Dawn Corp building.
Right.
Where some mafia guy is being murdered.
Yeah, we're going to find out that it's not Spawn killing these guys and ripping their hearts out. It's some monster.
Yeah. So this thug tries to go and save his boss, but a hand explodes out from a doorman, grabs him by the face, and brings him in and rips his heart out.
Yeah. So whoever they're looking for that kills these people is a monster.
Whatever. This monster is like has really thin limbs.
Yeah, the monster looks a lot like the devil too.
Yeah, it does, but it also looks like you could just easily break his arms off.
Yeah, well, I think he was trying to go for the not of this world kind of thing, But you're right. Yeah. His fingers look very, very brittle, and his arms are very. And even like as we go into the next page, where it's like a bloody mess, his one arm's just kind of like hanging on the ground, like there's something wrong with him.
But everything about him is very sharp.
Yeah,
like he's very sleek and very sharp.
Creepy though. He is creepy.
Yeah, creepy. Definitely creepy.
I don't know. It just looks like you should break his finger off of it and eat the meat out of it,
like a crab claw.
Yeah, it's very bloody though. So
his teeth are pointy as crap.
So we go from this monster killing this guy to another newscast.
Yeah.
Never read it.
See, the newscast is where it feels like a book. Like, oh god, there's paragraphs and paragraphs.
I literally still can't say it enough. I never read it.
So this time we start with the conspiracy theory guy, and he's talking about how the murders keep going.
Right.
Another couple of mafia guys happen. And
they named them the heart surgeon, by the way.
Yes, they named him the heart surgeon.
Yeah.
And how the conspiracy theory guy will help dig the graves if they want.
Yeah, he likes this. The conspiracy theory guy, it loves this stuff going on. He wants to see these guys get killed.
Right, and then we go to E! Entertainment, where he's talking about the Youngbloods changing their costumes.
I feel like this guy just worries about fashion, right?
And then he talks about how sex appeal has always been a big priority to marketing geniuses.
He does mention, which I liked, he mentions pizza-eating turtles. The pizza-eating turtles.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, he says, I just knew there'd be a day that they'd topple those pizza-eating turtles.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Huh.
I didn't see that.
They're in a different company. But what I did catch is, speaking of green guys, Chicago's reporting appearance of a dragon fin and all. That's Savage Dragon.
Savage Dragon.
Right.
I know him.
Lump, and the issues that you read, Savage Dragon is the green dragon guy on the TVs that those little kids come up to and think Spawn thinks they're like,
yeah.
That's who Savage Dragon is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and see, they just blow by Spawn. That's pretty neat. That's funny. But I didn't know who Savage Dragon was. I didn't know who was on the TV.
Yeah. And then we go to CNN, where they're just talking about the murders and how Wanda Blake opened up a clinic for disabled children in Al Simmons' name.
Yeah, she's an angel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably literally in this comic.
She might be. I don't know. I'm not that far yet. So.
I don't think so, but...
So Spawn's monologuing on top of a church again when he's thinking about his powers and how they can help him remember and find his wife.
Right.
And so he starts playing with them and turns himself into a white guy.
Now, see, this right here, if you only read the first 2 issues, I didn't know that Al Simmons was black.
Oh.
Well, they show him as a black soldier in some of the...
Yeah, but but the soldier, it's not drawn perfectly where you can tell that he's a black man. He just looks like...
Well, he was light-skinned in it.
Right,
so
okay, there is one where he does look like he's kind of black, but when I first saw this, I'm like, oh, that must be him, and then it was like, oh, no, he's like, no, this is not good, I'm a black man, and then I'm like, oh, crap, that's even better. That's even better that they went that way, because how's he going to go introduce himself to his wife? He turned himself into a white guy.
And I love when he gets to that point. It's
me too.
Awesome. That's a good scene.
Yeah.
I get what they were going for with this. How, you know, this is not my identity. How am I supposed to do it? But it's not like he was turned into some ugly guy. He's like a model. God forbid.
Right. No, right.
Oh, God, I'm a white guy now. Ooh.
Yeah, but
in his mind, though, it's the exact opposite of what he was. He's this skinny white guy with bleach blonde hair.
Yeah, how's he gonna
what
his wife back
fuck am I supposed to do?
Like I said, I get what they were going for. It just came off disingenuous.
It came off like, ew, gross. I'm a white. This can't be right.
No, it came off as a bunch of white guys writing for a black guy.
Maybe, maybe a little bit.
That's what I got out of it.
I don't know. I kind of saw it as that contrast to me, more like. They did it to be exactly the opposite of what he was.
Yeah, I see what
about it.
So, but Al Simmons was an attractive guy. They should have made him like an ugly white guy.
Yeah, but I guess. Yeah, I think they were just going for the whole. There's no way you're picking your wife back up as this guy.
Well, yeah, but they could have gone anything, but they decided to go this route instead.
Right. It's drawn real well. I mean, it's really, really nice drawings.
Really, yeah.
It's just, it doesn't sit right with me that the devil would give him good looks and, a chance to, you know what I'm saying?
Right. So, and what I still don't understand is, does the devil control all his powers? Because he doesn't. Because he does have, he gets defiant with the devil. So, why was the devil in control of this?
Because he decides how the powers worked in the first place.
Right, and he doesn't have total control of them either, so that's why. You're right.
So, we go back to the detectives who are now stuck doing paperwork? Is that what's going on here? Or am I reading ahead? Is that further?
Yeah, I don't think they're stuck doing paperwork yet. They're still looking into it.
Oh, yeah, they're not moving.
Right.
They have to do 5 reports tonight.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I think they do report. Don't you do reports every night after you do?
Yeah, but I thought you only did a report when you, did an arrest and stuff.
Oh, when you finish it off?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I could be just guessing.
Well, these guys are detectives, so they have to do a report on what they did for the day, basically.
And it's saying that the chief's on his butt because they're not moving fast enough. So now they got to make reports because they're not moving fast enough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it's just 2 pages of them talking.
Yeah. Which, and don't get me wrong, I love their back and forths, but there's nothing really to go over in a review show.
No, that's why I skipped ahead.
Yeah.
Then we're back with the monster who's about to kill some guy. I don't know, Gino? Relax Gino? I don't know who Gino is. I guess a mafia guy.
It seems like if they wanted to be a mafia guy, they just give him like a vowel at the end of his name, and then he's a mafia guy. So
yeah. Some Italian sounding name.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Uh-oh.
I recognize the name Gino. They mentioned Gino earlier.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. Talk. I'm gonna find this real quick.
So how are you, Lumpy? You doing good?
Oh, I'm doing great. Yeah, things are good. I'm vaccinated, fully vaccinated now.
Whoa. You're dating.
It's
a
hot topic. Yes.
But by the time this actually gets released, we won't even be wearing masks anymore. So don't even go there. I'm still a little mad about it because I made my appointment like 6 months ago, and I still haven't been vaccinated yet. But okay.
I got both my shots, so good for you.
Yeah, that's good. So anyway, back to the comic book. The monster's messing with this Gino guy, and the guy keeps saying Jesus, 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 and he says bad guess. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I actually like I like the heaven and hell style of this book. Like it kind of was good for me. I liked it.
I like that it's a whole different, there's he used the 8 levels of hell. If you've been to hell yet and where you've read so far. It's
no, I have not.
Okay. Well, you got the Kincaid, right?
Yeah, I read his first book.
Okay, so that's where you'll find out when you start hearing about him again, you're going to take a tour through hell, and it's kind of crazy.
That's the next. I think that's the next book. Actually,
I'm not positive. If you just read him dying, I think he disappears for a little while and comes back again.
Okay, yeah. Well, Spawn hung him up, so
right.
All right, it wasn't Gino, it was Carlo.
Yeah, see, you got it mixed up, too, because they just added a vowel to the end of the name.
Yeah, it was someone completely different. And there's only 8 layers of hell in this one?
I think it's 8.
It's 9 in the Dante's Inferno.
Is it?
There might be 9, I don't know.
It could be 9. Maybe it's the 8th level where Malbolgia is.
Which...
I would guess, if there's 9 in Dante's Inferno, it's probably 9.
We're going on that religious text, okay.
Yeah. Okay, there's crazy layers, too. You'll get there. Well, TJ, Lumpy will get there. You don't sound like you're going too much further on.
I will finish it. I will read the whole comic. Like, all 100 and something. Or actually, I think it's over 300 now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's at 3-something. And there's, like, spin-offs where there's, like, a medieval Spawn and all kinds of crazy stuff going on.
Who was also created by Neil Gaiman.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Anyhow.
So Gino
is about to get killed.
No, he gets killed. He gets his heart ripped out.
Yes.
Yeah. And then on the next page, I have no idea what's happening.
Well, he's still mad that he's a white guy, and he's trying to figure out what's screwing with his mind. And then he starts messing with the powers again, and he wants to know what he did. He doesn't even know what he did in his past life to deserve what's going on. He just wants to see his wife. So.
Okay, but it looks like a green tornado is happening around him.
I believe that's when he's using his powers, how they illustrate his powers, is the green.
Okay. Well, he remembers his boss, Jason Wynn, in the next thing, and how he was a jerk, essentially.
Yeah. And wasn't treating him right as a soldier. Thought he was taking him under his wing, but he was really being a jerk about it.
And then he did something that made him mad, and Jason Wynn's apparently evil.
That's all you really get. You don't really get much more.
Then the glass shatters, and Spawn wakes up, falling from the church, and falls into an alley.
Right. And look at his timer.
And, oh no, it's down to 9432 instead of 9999.
Yeah, but I mean that's only in 2.
5.
That's only in 2 comics. It was 999. Now he's already down almost 1,000. 600. He's down 600 almost.
Well, maybe he shouldn't make green tornadoes.
Well, he doesn't know that.
And he doesn't know that yet.
Right.
Anyway,
he does not know that yet.
Anyway, the monster's still killing more mafia guys. Hearts are being splattered all over the ground. Spawn wakes up and meets the Violator.
Yeah. Shake it off, bud.
And they have an interesting conversation.
What about how ugly Spawn is?
Yeah, and how he wants to... And all
How
the
the
things...
Violator could rip his spine out and...
Yeah. See, I love the Violator. I want to hear his whole thing. I read that whole thing. You know, go ahead.
He's got so much dialogue.
I know, it's all fun, though. Like, I could beat you with one hand tied behind my back, or I could rip the toenails from your feet and sever the tendons in your calves. Come on, he's awesome. But look at the size difference between Spawn and the Violator.
You said that, read that sentence, but then it continues on in the next bubble.
Oh, and I picked that up in the middle. There was 5 sentences before that too.
Yeah. And then the next page, he's still talking.
Yeah, he's a bragger, this guy. If he's really in a pissy mood, he might just... Oh, and then he realizes his fly's down, and he zips his fly up, and then goes back to it again.
And then he points at Sean's chest, and taps him on the chest.
Yeah, he's
and then Spawn just walks away, and then it's revealed that the Violator is the monster. Dun, dun, dun.
He's the heart surgeon, and he says, have a heart.
And the next issue is Spawn versus the true Violator.
Yeah, the monster Violator. Oh, you got to keep going. How do you not keep going? How do you not keep going after that?
I read the next 3.
Yeah,
I was kind of done.
Yeah, I figured you don't sound like I'm in. I love Spawn. I like the artwork. I like the story. The story gets better and better as it goes along. It gets way more involved. Angels get involved, and demons get involved, and
where I'm at right now, it's getting to that point. It's not quite as involved yet,
right?
But I can see there's a lot more going to happen right now. So I'm hooked right now.
Yeah. See, what I like is it's a big story, and one whole thing will just be explaining something, and then you might get to a comic where there's this giant bad guy who just wants to come to the alleys and kill Spawn, and then he's got to fight him, and that's just a standalone story. Then they get back into where the angels are hunting them and things like that.
Yeah, it seems like it could get really involved, and I'm very intrigued by the comic. I will continue to read it. TJ, you're out on this one.
Yeah, he didn't. TJ didn't really like the other one either. I was in on the one you came up with, and he didn't like. I think TJ only likes the stuff he likes.
Yeah. It's all about TJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't care about anybody else.
No.
That's fine.
So even if I like the one he picks, I'm going to say it stinks. This one stinks.
I don't know. I have a bias toward, I guess, superhero comics in general.
Yeah. I like that this is different. There's like heaven and hell's involved. It's not just he fell in a vat of toxic waste and got his powers.
No, he died and got his powers from the devil. It's the same thing.
No, it's cool. He got handed his powers from the devil, and now he has to fight the devil or work for him.
And I don't really, to be honest, where I'm at right now is I don't consider Spawn a superhero at all.
Well, neither do I. I'd probably like it more.
He's more of an anti-hero, to be honest with you. He really is.
Yeah, he's not. He wouldn't be considered a superhero, not to me. I mean, I guess he has powers and stuff, but he's not. This isn't your traditional crime-fighting superhero.
He definitely has no qualms.
That at all.
He has no qualms about going out and just killing a bunch of people too, and hanging them up in his alley.
I don't know what my problem is with it, truthfully, because it's not the dark tone. Because I like the darker stuff. It's just It's not. It just didn't grab me.
It's weird though. I really thought you would really like this because I really liked it a lot, and I just assumed you would.
A part of it is I didn't like the commentary that was going on in it, and I didn't like the world building for other comics that I really know are bad.
Right, and right. Well, see, if you already had that back in the back of your mind, that's tough too.
Yes, I'm already.
That was good for me because I don't know any of that stuff.
Right, I know a little bit.
I don't even know what that was.
I didn't even know that. I've seen Youngblood. I've read maybe 1 or 2 comics, but I didn't know it was awful, like you're saying. But
Youngblood was also mentioned 5 times throughout the entire 2 issues.
It feels like they all left and they had to take care of their buddies. Savage Dragon.
The thing was,
they were trying to take care of each other.
The thing was, I didn't know what any of those things were, so they didn't mean anything to me when I read it.
Right,
so I was able to read just past that. It didn't matter. Where you kind of got hung up on it because you knew what it was. I
only had a passing knowledge of all of it, so it didn't really matter that much to me either. Now, Savage Dragon, I honestly thought of it as a more childlike comic. I didn't think of it as a big... it was weird to me that it was even involved in this world, because all I had seen was the stuff from the 90s.
I think Savage Dragon.
Well, and when they pull Savage Dragon up in that, like when those kids are running to the TV screens, I just assumed it was a TV show.
Right.
So, like,
Now,
for me, it didn't matter.
There was a Savage Dragon cartoon series where he was a cop. He was
really?
just it was okay, but it was more. It wasn't as like adult based like Spider-Man was. It was kind of kiddie to me.
Savage Dragon is a cop.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's all I really knew of him was him being a cop in the cartoon series. I just looked it up. It's 1995 was the cartoon series. I knew it was in the 90s.
Savage Dragon is one of 2 Image comic titles that debuted with the company. And it is one of 2 comics that debuted with the company. It was one of the 2 comics. I think it was this and Spawn, actually. And it is the longest American full comic book to feature a single artist and writer.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, I didn't mention... Yeah, I think so, yeah. We didn't mention Todd McFarlane like wrote and drew everything in Spawn. There was a few other people involved with those 2 comics, but they were like pencils and stuff like that. Nothing major.
Yeah, it's basically just him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Savage Dragon's still going. Find anything on it though. Listed at 116 greatest book character of all time.
Uh-oh.
What?
We lost Uncle Chris.
We lost Uncle Chris. That is great.
Yep. I just looked up and saw that he was gone. I was like,
yeah, we need him to come back too because he has got to do his stupid joke so he can end.
Yeah, we can't do it without his joke. He's got to have his joke back.
Yeah, I can't find anything else. Are you back?
We are having some technical difficulties. You guys got roboted, and it went completely out. Now, I hope that said it uploaded my audio because I don't know what happened.
I didn't stop the recording.
Yeah, I know, but if it didn't upload the audio, then it didn't catch the audio. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
We said I couldn't find the Savage Dragon thing, and it said, "Oh, we lost them. Now we can't end because we don't have your joke."
Yeah, we need your joke.
Yeah, well, are we done? Did you say that? Do you have anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Okay,
we are done, though. I mean, really.
If you like hearing me talk about heaven and hell, I also do a podcast called Jay and Silent Bob Minute where we're covering Dogma 1 minute at a time. So you can go check that out.
Yeah, you haven't plugged that in a while.
Yeah, I figure I'll throw that out there. So that's it. You got nothing else? You want to hear my spectacular joke?
Is it a Spawn joke?
It's not a Spawn joke, but it is connected. Listen, the people want to hear my jokes, TJ. Don't make the voice like you made about Spawn #1. Okay, they love my jokes. I get emails every day.
TJ hates everything.
I know. Yeah. I get emails every day about how what my next joke's going to be, and you are making a poo-poo sound about it, and I don't like it.
How did you get emails about your jokes when I haven't released a single episode?
Yo, nobody knows that yet, that we didn't release it.
Yeah, well, no. I just spoiled that.
Well,
you're going to have to cut that out.
Maybe the people are psychic.
It's a good thing. I guess it's a good thing I'm the editor of this, so it's not getting cut out.
No, if I was the editor, I would have cut it out. And I would have been told how famous I was for my jokes.
Uh-huh.
All right, you ready for my joke? This is a joke.
No, because you just roboted out.
Can you hear me now? Something's going on with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's divine intervention for this podcast about heaven and hell. How do you make holy water?
He just roboted again for me.
He roboted as soon as he said
divine. Say it? How do you make holy water? Hello? Can you hear me now? Jesus, this is crazy. This is nuts.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Try again. Yes.
Oh, now you're roboting. Okay. How do you make holy water?
How?
You boil the hell out of it. Come on, that's a good one. What? You don't like that one?
Recording.
You better
stop now. TJ here from Comics and Us, just here to plug the social media. Check us out on Twitter. Our handle is at EveryTNUs because someone took everything and us, but the name of the Twitter page is Everything and Us Podcast, and then the handle is at EveryTNUs. You can also check us out on Instagram, which is also Everything and Us. These all encapsulate all the podcasts that I do, but you're going to find all your updates for Comics and Us, Anime and Us, so forth and so forth. You can also contact us right now at everythinginUspodcasts@gmail.com. Still working on the website. And until then, that's where you can get a hold of us. That's all. Thanks for listening. Talk to you later. Bye.